welcome to NEK-TV Rocks, and my guest today is Linda Joy Sullivan. Welcome back.
Well, thank you for having me.
I know you do your own show, but you know, you're not usually on that side of the interview.
Thank goodness
page.
these chairs have rollers.
Yeah, they're challenging. So we're going to talk about the Charter, and as you've probably been reading, I assume you follow some of what happens in Newport.
Of course.
It's hard not to. There's a lot of discussion about the Charter and so much even basic information. So our plan is that we're going to do 2 shows, one today and then one next week. And today, talk about what a charter is.
Okay.
What's its purpose? Is it a constitution? Is it different? What you got?
Sure. So a charter, for a municipality is exactly that, a municipal constitution.
Right.
It sets out the rules, it sets out the duties, it sets out the governance, the body, and it brings forth the right of the people to participate in the voting and the creation of the charter. And the concept is that the people should have a voice. And to date, that still is there. And it's very important that people understand that those duties and powers that are put into this municipal constitution were well thought out and put in there regarding real estate transactions, creating a city. Remember, if you're talking Newport specific, it's a city, not all municipalities or cities, towns, whatever, but they still have the same governance and those rules. I think the key is that the charter actually establishes the local control, and people need to understand that it is a constitution. It is a legal document.
And it's important.
Well, obviously it's important because you wouldn't have elections for people to follow the charter, or elections based upon the charter's authorization if the charter wasn't the controlling document of the governance of the city. So I think people need to use caution when they're flippant about, it's just the charter. It is the charter, okay? You need to be careful. I know when there was the past election for Newport, many council members came out saying, we're going to change the charter. Why would you even make a statement like that if you hadn't even worked under the charter
or read the charter?
Right. Well, we're hoping they at least glance through it, but but you haven't experienced long enough how the charter works for your choices of other business and governance and duties. So to come out just because you don't like somebody or somebody has a political position is the most horrific, scary thing that could happen if you're going against a charter. I mean, and Newport's charter actually is a very strong, good charter, well written. I mean, and it's easy to make little changes. You can, the council can put forth changes in rules temporarily. If they need to make little fixes, so the council in Newport has the authority to hire and fire. It would be fine for them to bring forth a rule that says, on this particular type of situation, the CEO can do this hiring and firing for employees making $25 or less. Something like that. Something that is not going to be a legislative need to change. And you have to be careful, because when you start playing around with a charter, you can undo the entire city, and you may not have. You have to remember the history of what happened in Newport. I mean, it was, Newport Town, it was Derby. You may take away the city.
And this was written in 1918.
That's right, but it was well thought out, and it really was. It is a very good charter, and it has a very clear, easy to follow methodology in it. And that's why you really need to read it. And because it is a thorough document that was over the years, and of course legislatures, you know, there's amendments, so you watch them and you read them. Each time you go through a situation, you should refer back to the charter, and it makes it more clear.
Right.
But it is the governance of the city, and it really does say the people really do have a voice here. So use caution. And also, it's my personal belief that no one person, just because, say, I was, you know, the mayor today, I decide to change it. You don't change a charter because of one person's political position or needs.
Right.
You have to remember it's there for the long term, for whoever sits in that seat.
At the last election, when I heard some of the candidates for council roles talking about changing the charter, I was absolutely shocked because I'm from a country that has a charter as opposed to a constitution, so I know it's a significant document.
Of course.
And that monkeying with it can have so many unintended consequences.
Oh, of course, it mandates accountability.
Yeah.
Which I know is something that may be shocking to a lot of people, but those taxpayers are entitled to have accountability from those who are elected officials.
Oh, yeah.
And you need to use caution. You know, the problem that you have also is that there are attorneys give advice, and that's all it is giving advice. It doesn't mean that it is the gospel of what you need to take. People, council members should assess the advice and then maybe go elsewhere. Okay, and you don't just go, say, to an entity like VLCT and say, give us legal advice. Their own mantra is, if you have city attorneys, go to them for the legal advice. We're just kind of a backup generalization. And
do city attorneys support the position of the city, or do they support the position of whoever is talking to them and wanting information or advice?
Yeah, that's a fantastic point, because their charge is to represent the city.
Right.
However, okay, the person who, say, brought them in, you know, is going to say, this is what we would like. And attorneys will find within the gray area of the law ways to make it legally work. And they won't lie, hopefully. But they will say, okay, you know, you could say this. We may end up in court, but here would be our defense. Doesn't mean it's the best defense. It doesn't mean they're going to win.
Just one.
Okay, but we could. Right. Okay, so you really need sophisticated people that you elect. You need people who have legal degrees, CPAs, but you need them on there. I know there is an attorney on the council. Thank goodness for that. Okay, but you know, you cannot just delegate all the work out and say, okay, cool, put me in the paper. This charter is the lead structure.
Right.
Of what you were supposed to follow.
And maybe some of the language is a little archaic and a little arcane. And there's certainly a male dominance in the way it's written.
Well, right.
But it's a historical document.
But it's the intent.
Yes.
And it was the intent to put together the local law. And the local law works. And I will tell you, I must have read that document. If I read it 1,000 times, that was minimal. Over and over, it was always out there, always up on my computer, always looking at it for every step of the way. Every discussion I had, I looked at that charter and challenged.
Quote it. Right.
That, well, you know what? That's right. I could tell you where to go. But people also, I've heard, were misunderstanding the use of the charter. But now it just appears it's, you know, just do what the people elected them. Like whoever got the most votes because people wanted a charter change will vote for you. And so this is a very dangerous, dangerous step.
I would hope that nobody votes for somebody just because they want a charter change, when most of us don't know enough about the charter to understand if it's working for us or against us. And if we don't know that, why are we asking for a change?
Well,
and what is the change?
Well, that's the key. Well, I think, and maybe I don't have enough information, but I believe there was a statement of change wanted because they wanted to take away some authority of the people.
Yes.
And that
was
right there
made my hair stand on
is
end.
dangerous.
Yes.
I mean, very dangerous.
Yeah,
to the people. I mean, it's a political move.
Yeah.
And that's what you need to be careful about, is that whoever wants to change the charter isn't doing it for political reasons. Mm-hmm. And that's why there is a charter, hopefully, to stay the politicalization, mm-hmm. if that's even a word, of of the charter. But you want to be very, very careful. That is changing a charter. You want to step lightly.
You know, I don't think people would have any problem with the concept of the Constitution if somebody got elected saying, I'm going to change the Constitution. Actually, we have somebody who's doing that right now.
Right?
Yeah, except he's just doing it
That's right.
without any permission, any support. But if we use the word Constitution, most people would have a what reaction to that, and yet somehow it's as though the Charter is this little thing that really has no meaning in our lives, but it does. It's what allows us as citizens to speak. It's what allows us to participate in decision making. And if we give that up, we're out of our minds.
You're absolutely out of your minds if you give that up. I mean, to give away the rights of the people, to put together good governance, mm-hmm. because I truly believe that the people in their heart want good governance. And I believe that when they elect people, they truly believe that there's hope. But I do believe that.
True.
I believe that when people run and someone is elected, and I am grateful that people run, I think mm-hmm. everybody should have that opportunity to run for an office if they understand the office they're mm-hmm. running for, if they truly are qualified, and if they truly are committed.
Yes.
Okay.
And willing
they have
to work really hard.
Oh, that's correct. I mean, you are held accountable. It's a higher fiduciary standard.
Yes.
And I think that is something that's so important, and we've seen that in the news challenges past weeks with issues of fiduciary responsibility. And that's just what happens. You are held to a higher fiduciary standard.
And you should be.
That's
sorry.
That's right. And if you go to court, believe me, a judge will tell you that.
Yeah.
A judge will say, you are held to a higher fiduciary standard, and you should be. Mm-hmm. And even if it's, well, I get it, you made a mistake, a judge who has experience will mm-hmm. turn around and say, tough, mm-hmm. you're held to that higher fiduciary standard. And so this charter, it is the constitution mm-hmm. of the municipalities, whether it be a town, whatever their charter is, or a city. It is the law that governs that municipality.
Right.
Do not play with it. I mean, and as I said, one person, whoever's in office, should never be like, oh, let's just flippantly change the charter. Yeah. But the people should stand down on this, is my opinion.
And it does seem from the time that it was raised at a council meeting, there was a significant reaction from those in attendance. Mm-hmm. And it was actually really nice, because what it did was brought some of us who are normally not in agreement with each other into a position where we were saying, I agree with you today.
Well, that's good.
Yeah,
That's actually
exactly.
good, because now you're talking about the law.
Yes.
And that's, something that you need to be unified
And what
with.
it means for all of us.
That's right.
As opposed to, I'd like to change this on a whim because it would benefit me doing
Today.
X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
That's
And a lot of times what you just said, people are on different, agenda items. They're polar. But when it comes to the whole Constitution change, okay, regardless if somebody would like to change a point or they turn around and say, oh, this is how it's interpreted, whether they're right or wrong, the bottom line is you don't change the Constitution.
Right.
Okay. I mean, that's serious.
The thought that has to go into what are the ramifications if I even change this sentence? What does that mean, and who does it mean?
A word.
Yeah, exactly.
A may to a shall.
Yes.
Woo.
Big deal.
Huge.
Very
huge.
big deal.
Okay, so the whole point is that, and I believe this, don't take away the involvement and participation of the people. And being flippant, just saying, well, they got to vote, so therefore they had a say.
No.
That's not how it works.
No.
And you definitely don't use, in my opinion, attorneys who are not constitutional attorneys and who have given advice before are changing their advice depending upon who's in there and what the question is and how they need to find the answer to fit the law.
Yeah.
So this is something that you don't just say, okay, sure, you want to change the Constitution, here's the process, here's what we do. No.
That was really when my question about, do our attorneys represent the city or do they represent the council members or
No, they represent the
themselves?
city.
Or do they really represent us who are paying their salaries?
No, they represent the city. You, the people, are the city, but the city, is actually like an entity unto itself. They represent the city, what is appropriate and legally best for the city. So let's say your mayor or council member does something that's highly questionable, that is making a statement that really was not on behalf of the city.
Right.
That particular person should get their own attorney. And the city of Newport has, a policy where they can go and do that. And then, of course, it would be assessed of whether or not they can get an assigned attorney or have to go get their own. But so let's say a council member says somebody slandered them. It is not the city's attorney's responsibility to defend that council member on slander, the slander case against them.
Yeah, deal with that on your own.
Correct, right? And so but they represent, the attorneys are the city attorneys who are appointed. And that appointment process is very important because in Newport you've experienced something that I don't think people really understand, and this comes from your charter. So during the time frame of former Mayor Monette, there was a back down of appointments.
Yes.
Remember, the charter clearly directs that officers be appointed and so on. Because in the charter, when the officers are appointed, they report to the CEO, the mayor.
Yes.
If they aren't appointed, they are not the statutory officers. They are employees. So they would then, if there was a city manager in place, be employees who would work under that city manager. So there's a huge difference, and that charter really makes that a powerful control. And that was a lot of confusion going on.
And still is.
And well, there shouldn't be, because
Big
people
time.
don't understand that part of the charter. And so we had a phenomenal, I must say, attorney, a female attorney from one of the appointed firms, and she understood employment law, and she understood this
Yeah.
these constitutional issues, and she was attacked.
Yes.
Okay, because you don't like the answer, you know.
Right.
However, so when I came in, if you remember, I put back in the appointments per the charter,
Yes.
which made the department heads, specific ones per the charter, become officers, and they reported to the CEO.
Yes.
And that's what the charter says. And it is very clear which employees don't. However, everybody goes up to the CEO.
Sure.
You know, but the bottom line is when it comes to the day-to-day operations,
That's the city manager.
to a certain point. It depends. If there's appointments, not the officers.
Right.
You know. And that's only if there is a city manager, and it's a May city manager. You don't even have to have a city manager. And so it's really the mayor's cabinet and what the mayor does based on the charter's directives.
Right.
And it was, in my opinion, slick not to appoint those officers. Very slick to keep, and this is my opinion, control
Right.
under city employees. And city employees should never control the city. I mean,
Yeah.
City employees don't control the city. Okay, that's why you have a CEO, a mayor, and a council with clear directives. And remember, the council in Newport also has the power of a select board. So you have to go from the charter and you have to read the select board powers that are also authorized.
Yes.
And so this is why that charter is a wonderful constitution with very clear, easy to follow pathways. Not just, oh, I like this little four corners of it, so I'm going to scream and yell that this is the way it works.
Right.
It's a great document, and it really should be understood by those who have been elected.
I would hope. But
I would
that,
hope too.
unfortunately, doesn't always seem the way. And I think we're now at a point in Newport where there's the old, do we want a city manager? Do we want a mayor? Who's going to run this joint? And we've had a fairly recent experience with a city manager that, shall we say, was not one of the best. Actually, we've had 3 city managers that was not one of the best. But we have gone from a city that was fiscally aware, fiscally responsible, and had significant money to nothing. Poof, it has all gone.
Well, your city manager is not going to be accountable to the people.
Right.
So your elected officer, your CEO, is accountable, and the
Right.
chart is very clear. It says, okay, the mayor, CEO, is responsible for the fiscal accountability and responsibility.
Yeah.
Okay, so when a mayor passes that over because they don't make appointments and they don't follow the charter, they're still responsible.
Right.
And you've had issues. I mean, now the city's in debt for X amount of years, shifting debt, okay? But it was voted for, so, you know. But the bottom line is you are shifting things around. It's clear that the person elected needs to be the CEO. Taking that away is horrific.
Yes. It's
Horrific.
scary, actually.
Yeah.
Really scary.
So the people should step lightly. The people should use caution is my suggestion. And having been in there, for that full term and realizing when I went in, like, where's the money? And uncovering pretty much everything that's now just been stated, but at least I tried in my best ability to deal with those who I found to be accountable.
And find out where the hell the money had gone.
Well, that's exactly right. But the key right now is changing that charter is dangerous.
I agree.
Dangerous. And as I said, you don't just say, oh, gee, here I am today, I'm an elected official, I'm going to change the charter because I have a political agenda and this is what I want. But don't take away the rights of the people. Do not take away the rights of the people.
Right, and it's how does that information get to the people so that all of us who are voters understand the enormity of this?
Well, I would think that your show.
Yeah, well,
okay.
That was the goal of this.
Okay.
I want more than
well,
this.
we'll go. But I'm saying
Yeah.
writing articles.
Yeah.
You know, the problem that you have is that we've experienced it over the past couple of years. Is you have a press who's pretty much going to write not for the people, but they're a bit jaded. I think we've seen that. They've turned it into political races when it's, you don't write the facts that harm the people we like, and and that's typical. And it's a shame.
It's parochial,
but you
and it's
can
pointless.
That's correct. But you could do flyers, you could do meetings. It doesn't have to be the council who does it. You can put together a group, and you could go up to wherever you want and have a listening session and explain it and bring in people who've experienced it, who are pretty much knowledgeable about this, and explain the pros and cons. I mean, there are pros in changing a charter, but the key is only if your charter really, really is so outdated.
Right.
This charter is not. This charter, from the legal intent, is straight on and very clear. Okay, I mean, I agree we don't need the fuel shoveler, whatever, right?
A shingle shaker.
Right, but
yeah.
Is that going to affect anything? No. And you never know. The way we're going in the U.S. today, we may need them again. But the key is it holds the officers accountable. And those officers report to the CEO, who's the mayor, who's accountable.
Yeah.
You start changing charters and your people lose the right to hold their elected officers accountable.
Right.
And as I said, there are ways to do different things that you can do, like small rules, or, to make small fixes for operation ease. Okay. Yeah. And that'll only last, you can even make that rule last only under the current administration, or whoever's doing it, and say at the end of the administration, the next administration can decide whether they want to pick it up or not.
Well, write a different one.
Right. And so I think the key right now is how do we get it to the people?
Right.
And so I would suggest reaching out topics of interest, like when the Women's Commission come out, they're going to be doing these listening sessions and saying what's going on, how could we help, what do you need. It's an independent agency. Contact, but I still think putting together your own group of local residents, having a point person and have that point person reach out, but set up your meetings. And don't put the people who are changing it
as the
speakers.
No.
Put the people who understand, who've experienced it, who, and it doesn't mean that those people won't suggest you change it, but anything that has more accountability for the elected officials and the governance. Remember, this is your law. This is your local law. It's the highest local law you will have, and I can't say enough how much I really believe that the people need to keep that.
I agree. On that note, we're done for today.
Okay, we're done.
And I'll see you next week. Thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you for having me.